Today we are not just selling grain, we are shaping the future of Burkina Faso. This $14 billion partnership with India is proof that our land can feed the world and secure prosperity for our people.
The news first emerged at dawn in Asia, while financial hubs in New York and London were only beginning their day. A single headline flashed across trading screens: Burkina Faso had signed a decade-long agreement with India to export maize and sorghum worth $14 billion. Over 20 million metric tons of grain would move from African farms to Indian ports. The announcement stunned markets. For decades, Burkina Faso was not considered a global grain power, while India already ranked among the world's largest producers. Why, then, such a deal, and why now? The impact was immediate. Grain prices spiked within minutes. Traders in Mumbai, Chicago, and London rushed to adjust positions. Analysts flooded TV studios, calling the deal everything from a historic milestone to a seismic shift in food security. Exporters in South America and Eastern Europe, long dominant in Asia, suddenly saw a new competitor rising from West Africa. What made the announcement striking was its simplicity: just 3 paragraphs, no slogans, no speeches, only figures: 20 million tons, $14 billion, 10 years. But behind those numbers was a strategy that reached far beyond commerce. For India, the deal was about security. Its food supply depends heavily on the monsoon, leaving it vulnerable to droughts and floods. Burkina Faso's grain provided a safety net against erratic weather. For Burkina Faso, it was about recognition and opportunity, a chance to move beyond its traditional image of gold, cotton, and political turmoil, and step forward as a serious agricultural power. The path to this agreement began years earlier. Burkina Faso quietly presented its agricultural potential at global trade forums. India, seeking to diversify imports and reduce risk from climate change, listened. Negotiations started with questions of trust, not money. Could Burkina Faso deliver consistent harvests? Could it guarantee supply for a decade? Gradually, confidence grew. The country's greatest obstacle, its lack of a coastline, became a test of cooperation. Massive grain shipments would need to cross borders and reach ports in neighboring states. Rather than abandon the idea, both nations invested in infrastructure. Roads, railways, and port facilities were expanded, turning a weakness into a shared achievement. India's choice of Burkina Faso over established exporters also reflected politics and trust. India offered more than cash; it pledged technology, silos, irrigation projects, and training. Unlike other powers, it placed no heavy political conditions. Decades of smaller trade in textiles and pharmaceuticals had already built confidence. The grain deal was the natural outcome of that relationship. For Burkina Faso, domestic food security was a central concern. Safeguards were included: part of every harvest would be reserved for local consumption, and revenues would support subsidies and irrigation to expand production. In this way, exports and domestic needs could grow together. The agreement also secured India's rapidly growing livestock sector. Sorghum, a key ingredient in animal feed, would strengthen India's dairy and poultry industries, keeping milk, eggs, and meat affordable for millions. The deal carried climate advantages too. India's dependence on the monsoon is risky, but Burkina Faso's rainfall follows a different cycle. Linking their food systems created a kind of climate insurance, ensuring that poor harvests in one region wouldn't necessarily mean shortages in the other. Infrastructure investments went beyond agriculture. By upgrading silos, roads, and trade routes, Burkina Faso positioned itself for broader economic growth. The grain deal thus doubled as a national development project. Globally, the agreement challenged assumptions. Trade was long dominated by giants like the US, Brazil, and China. But Burkina Faso showed that even a landlocked African state could step into the spotlight with the right vision and reliable partnerships. The move also strengthened India's presence in Africa, signaling that it would compete with China and the Middle East for influence on the continent. For Burkina Faso, choosing India demonstrated independence and a new confidence on the global stage. Reactions across Africa were swift. Neighboring countries began to consider whether they too could leverage fertile land and strike long-term export deals. Burkina Faso may have opened the door, but others are eager to follow. Not all were pleased. South American and Eastern European exporters worried about losing market share and predicted tough competition. Some warned of price wars ahead. Yet many economists argued the deal would stabilize global markets by diversifying supply. In the end, the partnership between Burkina Faso and India is more than a trade agreement. It is a symbol of trust, resilience, and shared ambition. For Burkina Faso, it signals the rise of a new agricultural power. For India, it strengthens food and economic security in an uncertain climate. And for the world, it proves that even the smallest nations can take on a central role in feeding billions.